Hello Sumate, you're welcome to another beautiful video tutorial. So in this video, we'll be learning how to make this ruche bubu short dress with drawstring at the side and the shoulder collar. So if this looks like what you want to know how to make, how to attach the band to, let's get started. So in this case, I'm using the organdy fabric and it's 2 years I have with me. Okay, so it's a top, it's not a long dress, it's just going to be like something on your knee by the time you draw the ruche. So I went ahead to fold the fabric into 4. This is me showing you here that the fabric is folded into 4. Then after which I proceeded to ironing it down. I iron it straight down on both sides so that I can get the gaiter line to mark the neckline and everything, because we are not cutting the shoulder part. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to iron it. You can see how flat it is on the table. Can you see what we have? So now I'm just going to spread it open into 2. So we are going to start whatsoever we're doing from the midpoint. Don't forget that we've ironed it and we've gotten the midpoint. So the first thing I'm going to do now, from the midpoint of the fabric that we've marked like this, I will mark 7.5 inches. That's my shoulder measurement. 15 divided by 2, 7.5. So I will mark 7.5 inches away from the midpoint of the top. Then I marked 6 inches. After the 7.5, I mark 6 inches again. This 6 inches is the part that I will fold as the shoulder collar. Okay, so now I went down by 14 inches and I marked it. So I'm just going to connect with my ruler. Don't forget that from the center of the bubu, I came in by 7 inches. After the 7 inches, I marked extra 6 inches. Then I took it down by 14 inches. Now this is the back side of the shoulder collar that we're creating. Okay, so now I'm not making the chalk too visible because it's a white fabric and I don't want to stain it so much, but you can see what I'm doing. So after marking it to the side, I'm going to repeat the same thing to the other side. From the midpoint of the fabric, go in by 7 inches. Then after marking the 7 inches, mark another 6 inches away from the 7 inches. Now the first 7 inches you're marking is your shoulder measurement. Then the 6 inches you're marking after the 7 inches, it is the part you're not going to fold into 2 to create the shoulder collar. So by the time you fold the 6 inches into 2, to give you 3 inches as the width of the collar or shoulder dart. Okay, so you can see me rolling it across. So like I said, this is for the back pattern. It is 14 inches that we mark straight for the shoulder, that is 14 inches. So I'm going to flip the fabric to the other way so we can get the front pattern. So you can see the way I am turning the fabric. We've marked for the back, so now we want to mark for the front. You can still see the chalk showing on the other side too. So for the front, it is going to be 10 inches. Come down by 10 inches from the shoulder line, come down by 10 inches. So I'm just following the line that the chalk, because it was really very visible for me, so I only marked 10 inches. So I'm going to connect the lines, because the lines I connected on the back side, they are reflecting, so no need measuring it. Okay, I hope you understand. So for the front now, after marking 7 inches from your shoulder, you mark 6 inches again, but you're not at the front now, you're not coming down by 10 inches and not 14 inches. So I went ahead to open the fabric up, like I spread the fabric open. Then I'm now going to get the neckline measurement. For the back, I went down by 1 inch and I came in by 4 inch for the width. Okay, the neck depth for the back is 1 inch. Then for the front, I came down by 11 inches. Now one thing I want to tell you, if you don't want it to expose your boobs, please 7 to 8 inches is enough for you. Then I went in by 2 inches. Please don't forget that from the midpoint, I came down for the front, I came down by 11 inches. Then I came in by 2 inches and I'm connecting the neckline. Can you see what I'm doing here? So after connecting it like that, the next thing I will go ahead to do now, the 2 inches I came in with from the side, I'm going to mark it all the way down to the front pattern of the bubu. Don't forget that for the back, the neck depth is 1 inch and I've connected it, okay? So now we are going to extend the 2 inches straight to the lower part of the bubu, because that's where the collar, the neck collar, will go round. Okay, so I know you can see what I'm doing here, but it's very faint because the color of the table and the fabric I'm working with is the same, but I went ahead to add a darker fabric to the table so that you can see very well what I'm doing. So as I go further in the video, you will see where I did that. It didn't occur to me on time. So like I said, I'm just going to mark the 2 inches all the way down to the lower part of the bobo. So by the time I do this now, the neckline, the bobo neckline is done. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to fold the fabric back into four. Can you see the neckline is done? But I'm just going to secure it with my pin. I'm just retracing the neckline here. So I'm going to secure it properly with my fabric, because this material I'm working with is not stable at all. So you can see me securing it with my fabric. So I'm going to fold it back into four, arrange it properly on the table. Then from the neckline, I'm going to come down by 24 inches. That is where my hip measurement is resting on. So I want the butterfly, like the wings part of the gown, to start from there. So let's say you are making a longer gown to the ground level, right? You should be using like 40-38, okay, to connect. So I came down by 24 inches, and this 24 inches now, that's where my hip measurement, we're only using hip measurement for this bubble. So I will measure my hip measurement on it, then I will add extra 4 inch to it. That's what I'm doing here. Don't forget that from the neckline I came down by 24 inches. I rule a straight line, impute my hip measurement, and I added extra 4 inch as ease allowance. So to get the sleeve now, I'm going to come down from the shoulder line by 12 inches because it is not meant to be fitted. Okay, so I came down by 12 inches. That 12 inches I came down with now, I'm going to now connect it to the 24 inches that I have my hip measurement marked on. Okay, so I hope you're not confused at this point. So after marking it this way, you can see the chalk that is faint a little, but I do not want it to be too visible, so that it will be easier for me to wash off. Okay, so now you can see me, I've connected it from the sleeve. Now I've connected it to the hip part. Then whatsoever measurement I have on the hip, now I'm going to extend it straight to the down of the dress, like the full length of the dress. That's the measurement I'm going to have there. So I'm just going to roll it across to the full length of the gown. Then after that, I'm just going to cut it out. So once we are done cutting it out, don't forget that we've already marked the neckline. So the neckline now, to get the neckline now, I'm just going to spread it. I'm just going to spread it open to get the neckline, like I said. So this is the sleeve part. So I'm just arranging it here to make sure that the sleeves, they align. I just want them to align very well. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just arranging it properly. So I'm just going to trim it out to make sure that it is even. Okay. So after trimming it out, like I said, now we are now going to cut the neckline. Don't forget that we've created the neckline already. Okay, so I'm going to spread it open. Can you see what I'm doing? Spread it open. Don't forget that this gator line that we've marked, this is the midpoint of the bubble. Okay, and you can see me cutting from the back neckline to the front, then straight down. The 2 inches we marked downwards, that's what I'm cutting. I'm going to cut it all through. So after cutting it, when I go ahead to spread it, this is what it will look like. You can see me removing all the pins I use in holding the fabric in place. So by the time I spread it, this is what we have. Can you see what we have? Then like I said, you will soon see where I put a black fabric on the table. So on this part, I'm so sorry, it didn't occur to me on time. Okay, but I hope you're getting what I'm explaining. So I have already gone ahead to cut out a longer fabric before I started cutting on the fabric, which is 5 inches wide. Okay, so I'm going to fold it into two and iron it properly. Okay, because that's what we will use as the collar. So now, after doing this, the next thing we want to go ahead to do now is to pin out the 6 inches that we added for the shoulder, that happy shoulder collar. You can see me, we marked it, and this fabric is very transparent. So when you're picking, make sure you are only picking the part, the 6 inches you marked after the shoulder line. That's where you are picking. Okay, after we mark 7 inches as our shoulder line, we marked another 6 inches. So it is the 6 inches we are picking as the shoulder, that you can see how I'm picking it. So now it is easier for me to pick here because this fabric is very, very transparent, so I can see through to the other side, and I'm seeing the markings I made on the fabric. So in case you're using a thicker fabric, you make sure that you pick on the other side of the chalk, then you pick on to this other side of the chalk that the markings you've made to make sure that you don't exceed the markings. Okay, so you can see that 6 inches now I have now picked it. Now if you check the width of the part I am pinning now, it is not more than 3 inches for the width. So the same way I've picked this, I'll go ahead and repeat it on the other side. Then I'm going to run a straight line from the 10 inches for the back and the 14 inches, from the 14 inches to the back and the 10 inches to the front. So here I've gone ahead to sew it and I've ironed it. Can you see on both sides? You can see how beautiful it is. This is what we have, and this is what the neckline area looks like. So now this is the long fabric I told us that I'll go ahead and iron. I've gone ahead to fold it into two and I have ironed it like so. So the next thing, I'm just going to remove the main dress from the table. So I will show us what to do with this main fabric. So what you will do now, you have to get the midpoint of this band. Okay, now here is the midpoint of the band. So what we'll do now, we're going to measure the neckline of the dress itself. Okay, you know that I told you in the front pattern, to get the neckline for the front pattern, you will come down by 11 inches. Okay, so now what we are going to do now, you will make sure that you measure it from the back to that 11 inches to get the actual measurement that will go around it. Okay, so you can see me measuring it and you can see me notching it from the center of the neckline, from the shoulder. Now I'm now marking 11 inches down and I'm notching it. So from that part now, I'm going to measure it to get the collar and the part we are going to sew for the collar. You can still see me using my chalk to mark it. So how did I do it? I folded it into two like this, and I measure it from the center back. Now I'm going to measure from the center back straight to the level, to the 11 inches I came down with. Okay, to get the depth of the front neckline. Okay, so you can see I'm doing it. Just put it together, you measure it this way all the way down to the part I just notched and chalked. Okay, so after doing this now, whatsoever measurement it gives to me now is what we are now going to use on the collar. Okay, so this is the band and this is the collar also. So now, like I said, you get the midpoint of the collar. Then whatsoever measurement I have now, we just measure that place to the depth in the front. So whatsoever measurement I have, I'm going to mark it on the band. Don't forget that the band is on fold too, because you know that we folded that part into two when I was measuring the neckline for the bubu. So now I'm going to spread the band open and I will spread the fabric apart also. Now look at what I'm doing. Okay, so you fold it. This is the fabric folded into two. then you now spread it wide open. You know we've already ironed it before, but I'm going to spread it wide open. Now the iron I ironed, it is giving me a gator line, and that serves as the midpoint of the band. Okay, so it's going to serve as a guide for me, so you should do the same. Okay, so now this is where I marked. After measuring it from the midpoint, this is the point I marked. So from that point now, I'm going to sew it straight down, following the line at the middle. Okay, I will sew it straight down, following the gator line at the middle. So here now I've gone ahead to sew it. Okay, now this is what we have, and this is what it looks like. So the next thing now, you're going to separate it, you're going to flip it. Okay, can you see what we have? You can see how nice it is. So I'm showing us how to do it. This is it on the table, lying flat. We've sewn it together all the way down. So you pick it, these two up, the remaining two under, below, like that. Then you flip it and spread it all the way through. Then your collar is ready, like this. So the next thing you're going to do now is to attach the collar to the bubu. Okay, so I'll go ahead and iron it properly. Okay, after ironing it, this is what we have, and this is the part where it occurred to me that I can actually get a darker fabric on my table so you people can see what I'm doing very well, and I did that here. So like I said, the next part now is to attach the collar to the bubu. Okay, so here now you get the midpoint of the collar and the midpoint of the bubu at the center back. Then you're going to pin it and you run a straight line. You first run to one side. From the midpoint first, you run to one side, go back to the midpoint and run the other side down. So after running it down, your collar is fixed. So here now you can see that I've fixed and I've attached the collar. So the next thing we want to do now is to join the bubu together. But before you go ahead to join the bubu, you see the sleeve area, go ahead and fold it inside. Then after that, you can now go ahead and join the sides together. I will do that and come back. So here now I've gone ahead to do that. You can see what we have. So the next thing we want to do now is to attach the space for the drawstring. Okay, so I'm going to spread it open on the lower part. Now it depends on how high you want the drawstring to be, how much volume you want, how much gathers do you want. The fuller you want it, it makes the more space you will be taking for the drawstring. Okay, so I went ahead to make a fabric, like I sew and I turn the fabric neatly. You can see it with me. So it's about 1.5 inches wide after turning it and ironing it properly. Okay, so I went ahead to the side of the bubu. I trimmed the excess allowances away for the parts that the drawstring will be coming in. Okay, so after trimming it off, the next thing now, the fabric I have with me that I've already turned and ironed, we are going to place it on it and sew it on this part that I've just trimmed off. Can you see what I'm doing? So you place your fabric on it this way. Make sure that it is resting at the midpoint. The middle of the fabric should be at the same line that you use in joining the bubu together. Okay, so that one part is not bigger than the other. So I will go ahead and pin it down properly so that it's easy for me to work on. So after pinning everything completely, the next thing I will do is to go to the sewing machine and I will sew it side by side. Then after that, I will also sew on the middle. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew. So we have 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 1 at the middle, 3. Okay, please take notes. You have 3 stitches. You sew that strip side by side. Then you now run another straight stitch at the middle where the string will pass through. So I already have a strap that I've created from the fabric. Okay, so I'm going to pass my loop turner through the holes from the upper part to the lower part. Then I will attach my strap to it and drag it to the other side, like you can see me do in the video. Okay, so after that, I'm going to put my my loop turner to the other side also from the lower part. I'm going to put it from the lower part so that I can drag the edge of the loop downwards, because you know it's from the lower part that you will draw your string. So you can see what I'm doing. So after pulling the strap down that way, the next thing we are going to do now is to attach the band that will give this bubble the fitness on the waistline. So like this, now our drawstring is ready, like so. So you can just draw it according to how you want it. So this process, I'm going to repeat it for the other side of the bubble, and our drawstring is ready. Okay, so the next thing I will do now, I also made a band for the waistline that will give it that fitted structure on the waistline. So like I said, this drawstring, now I'm repeating it for this side. I'll do that off camera. So here now I've added the drawstring, and I needed to put this band on the waistline. So you know, for the front pattern we came down by 14 inches. So this band is coming in at the end of that 14 inches. You place it in between like so. Then you go to your sewing machine and run a straight stitch. You do the same thing to the other side. Place it at the end of the collar, run a straight stitch, hold it down, and that brings us to the end of the video. And this is the bubble on my dummy. Hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye.